Hello everyone, Shadefire here, and welcome to the start of this playthrough of Cold Fear. This is another game, I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently, but this is another game that's been on my LP list for a couple of years, and I finally decided that I was going to catch up to it. So, this is a game back from 2005, which came out about a month before Resident Evil 4. Which is, I think, the reason that nobody remembers this game and everybody remembers Resident Evil 4. Because it did do what this game wanted to do better in a lot of ways. They play similarly, and they even have a similar type of enemy. Because this is kind of a survival horror game with over-the-shoulder shooting. But one thing that I think makes it stand out is it's set on a Russian whaling ship left out of control in the middle of a massive storm. And as I was reading recently, there's actually some technically impressive stuff going on here that they had to do because most of the game is set on a, ship being buffeted in a storm. So, like, for example, there are about 9 times more animations they had to make for the player character reacting to the pitch and yaw of the ship and, other parts of the environment that are being affected by that than your typical game would have. And there was a constant threat during this game of falling off of the ship, or being crushed by, bits of machinery swinging around in the storm. So that stuff's pretty cool. But yeah, I got this game a couple of years after it came out, I think, when I was trying to find other games like Resident Evil 4, and I got this for like $10 for the original Xbox. And I remember enjoying it, but I've only played this once, so I don't remember it too well. But let's get in here. Okay, so since Extreme has to be unlocked, I would say that we should play on normal, because hard is probably a little harder than it needs to be. Also, these cutscenes might look a little worse, because they are stretched to fill the screen instead of being shrunken into the middle.
Alpha team, prepare for insertion, on my mark. Go, go, go!
I am using a widescreen patch for this.
Candid, Marcus. Advance by tune.
That seems like a really bad shoulder cam if it's just in bright orange. Like, I don't know if that's supposed to be some kind of night vision effect they're doing.
Something's out there.
Come in. Damn it, Hernandez. Talk to me. What's going on? I'm not getting anything here. Marcus, Law, do you hear me? Come on, somebody.
You have to wonder at the point where he literally has their cameras and saw them get slaughtered, but he's like,
Get me another
hey, what's going on?
Anything we've got. Anything.
So they sent in a special ops team and they were slaughtered. What else do they have nearby? Coast Guard.
Yeah, I hear you. This is the USS Ravenswood. We arrived in the vicinity of the vessel and will now initiate a search patrol and look for it. Ravenswood out.
For some reason, this main track reminds me a lot of the soundtrack for Pitch Black.
Okay, people, you know your assignments. Hansen, you've got main deck port side. Watch yourself. You're going solo.
How come Hansen gets all the fun?
Because he's prettier than you are, DeSantos. Now cut the chatter.
This place is creeping me out. Where is everyone?
Steady, Friedman. Remember, I've got that extraction code in case things get hairy.
Boarding party, this is the Ravenswood. The seas are too rough. We're gonna have to head back. You're on your own, people. You heard the man. Keep it tight.
Alright, so
Did you hear that?
here we are.
Hear what?
What's that smell?
These old Russian whalers all
Lieutenant Lansing, come in, come in!
So already you can see how he rocks with the deck of the ship, and if you get hit, for example, you can get knocked off your feet and you'll start sliding towards the edge of the ship. You can also do things like brace yourself against railings. As you can see, even when you aim, you are somewhat affected by the rocking. But yeah, it goes into like Resident Evil 4 camera when you aim, and uses kind of a Silent Hill style mixed fixed and moving camera the rest of the time. And apparently they had to use this camera because when you tried to use a more traditional camera, it would just start clipping through the environment as the ship moved. A note about ammunition conservation. General Order Number 16. Due to the platform's irregular supplies, we must conserve our munitions and medkits as much as possible. Therefore, live ammo training is now suspended pending new orders. In a combat situation, it is vital that all soldiers look to their downed comrades as potential sources of ammo or medkits. In the same interests of economy, use body searches when really necessary. Use the butt of your rifle in close combat situations. This will enable you to gain the necessary distance to adjust your aim. Some of your opponents will attempt to immobilize you. Do not simply empty your clips. Strike out at them to free yourself and shoot at point-blank range. This is generally highly effective. Anishenko. So yes, these are actual gameplay tips. We have a melee attack, and if you melee at an enemy right when they grab you, you can do like a critical headshot. Lansing is the one with the emergency radio code. He should be on the front deck. Also, the music in this game is really loud at the start, but it does kind of mellow down later. Sadly, we can't climb ledges, so we have to go the long way around. And these were originally supposed to be on, like, actual static animation loops, but then they decided to change swinging objects like this to just use regular physics, so they're a little unpredictable. One thing that is definitely a flaw about this game is that it doesn't have a map at all. But because our character here does actually understand Russian, you can look at signs like this to read them. Which I thought it was a nice little touch at the time. Also, this game doesn't have an inventory, which is a little weird. Instead, you have to go back to places where ammo resupplies to fill up. There was somebody out there. But yeah, you can only carry as much ammo as your max capacity, and then you just have to deal with running out until you can find a place to resupply. You also can't carry any healing items, so similar situation, you have to go back to a healing spot. Alright, so we're on the rear deck, we need to get to the front deck. Thankfully, you don't really need a map too much because the ship is not that confusing. He doesn't have any more ammunition. Because, you know, that's the first thing a Coast Guard member would think. Hey, a dead body. I wonder if he's got any bullets. I imagine this game also has the potential to give people some real nasty motion sickness because of the ship swaying. But not really a way to avoid that.
Find that code.
Oh, wow.
Got to find that code.
I also don't think there's a sprint button. I think I saw a body up there. Is there a code in here that I missed? It doesn't really seem like there's anything to search. It's pretty much a dead end in here. And this thing doesn't do anything. I don't know what it's the controls for. Alright, so we're looking for a code, which means we probably gotta search bodies or find a piece of paper. Alright, it's not down there. Oop, did a little bit of a slide. Whoa, the deck is really rolling. One wrong move and I'm overboard. I mean, he's got that life vest. He'd be fine, right? I don't think it's over here. No, that's just a dead end back there. So yeah, you pretty much gotta watch out for all of these objects that are swinging around. And also the waves themselves, which can pull you off the deck. I took a tiny amount of damage from that hook. Oh, this man is shooting at me. Well, he's gone now.
These Russian boats aren't exactly built the same way ours are. I better read the inscriptions so that I don't get lost. Let's see how much of my Russian I still remember.
Yeah, so there's his explanation. Main deck, this way.
This door is locked by an electrical system.
Maybe I can shoot this thing, that'll fix it.
Они повсюду! Они идут прямо на нас! Тихо! Они могут нас услышать! Помогите мне открыть эту дверь! Она закрыта на ключ, мы пропали! Эй! Осторожно! Один из них за углом! Черт! 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 Огонь!
Like, all he has to do is yell something around the corner and they would probably stop, but instead he's like, well, guess I better kill him.
This valve must control the sprinkler system.
Oh, also he was taking cover next to an explosive barrel. Problem solved. Now, I have to try to figure out what the reload button is. It's F, not R.
Равнобладская пиздопребина! Вот!
See? Nothing spooky on this ship, just a bunch of Russians to shoot in the face. I don't think there's actually anything in here, except this guy. But yeah, there's no inventory, there's no menu, there's no map, so that's definitely a bit of a downside. I don't know if there's ever anything in those. No, roaches. I do appreciate that even when you're indoors, though, you still have the ship rocking. Just like on an actual ship. So there's a health pack. Got my health pack. That one was not reusable, though. What is that, exactly? Is that a monkey? Are they smuggling some illegal cargo in here as well?
Whoever you are, you will open this door now!
Angry Russian lady, locked in. Probably for everyone's safety. I do think this game actually does atmosphere pretty well, but similar to something like Resident Evil 4 or Dead Space, I would say it's not really a horror game. It's an action game with some horror themes. I thought that was a man with a gun, but it's just like a pole. Okay, there's something here to interact with. The body. I do like that the over-dramatic orchestral music doesn't play when you're indoors, though. But it does fit with the storm outside. Okay, now try to find my way out of the room.
Great, it's locked. Great. This door ain't opening.
Okay, there's the rear deck. I think that's where we came in from. It is kind of easier in some of these areas to just aim like this armory. A note about electrical boxes. Certificate of death. Name, Corporal Y. Legay. Cause of death, electrocution. Details. According to witnesses, Corporal Legay had misplaced his electronic key while on duty. Unable to reach his official post, he promptly fired at the electrical control box on door 114, causing it to explode. Imagine someone doing that on a ship, just like, shit, I forgot my key, I'll just fucking shoot my way in to work. Exposed live wires subsequently came into contact with a pool of water on the floor. The door opened, however, Corporal Legay was electrocuted. No follow-up necessary. Alright, so we got portside cold rooms, and we got crew quarters. Some of this camera stuff actually reminds me a lot of MGS2. And also the general kind of animations.
Great, it's locked.
And not just because MGS2 took place on a tanker at the start. Alright, so we got the med bay here. I think we can heal from this a couple times, at least. That's locked.
Locked.
Locked. Not locked. Page from Yusupov's diary. Our first encounters with the creatures we now call the exocells came roughly 2 months after drilling commenced on the Star of Sakhalin platform. In fact, I was already familiar with this platform. We used to use it as a port of call when patrolling these hostile waters, and I was determined it would be again deployed as part of our international operations. Whilst drilling had effectively stopped some years before, this was not because the rig was unprofitable. Quite the contrary. It was because the spare parts often needed were simply never delivered. The Russian state's private partners grew weary of the whole affair. All I had to do was wait a couple of years to repurchase it for scrap. At first, the cartel was skeptical about the new operation's success, and I made the necessary investments for its recommissioning myself. The communications jammer, the plans for which had been provided by former Red Army brain Sergei Atarian, was remarkably effective. As far as international ears were concerned, whether listening in on Earth or from space, there was nothing there but inhospitable ocean and the odd iceberg. For the first 25 days, drilling was successful, as expected, and then, even though our sonars confirmed the presence of a huge oil reserve, pressure started to drop. Suddenly, the drill brought up several exocells that, Anishenko and his men had great difficulty in overcoming. 2 days later, we noticed more specimens crawling up the platform's columns. I immediately gave Anishenko orders to capture some of them. That's when I saw my first contamination. So, I've actually read a few books about some kind of monster coming up from a drilling operation, so that kind of setup isn't too unusual to me. Including one where they're giant isopods with acidic venom.
What kind of whaling ship is this? I'm gonna need an electronic key to open this sucker up.
So not much we can do in crew quarters right now. Cold room number 1.
There's too much water pressure. I can't open the door.
Yeah, so hallway's flooded, which means we can't open the doors down here. Upper deck key. Excuse you. That's just the last twitch of nerves.
There's too much water pressure. I can't open the door.
The water itself does not look great, but, you know, you don't see that much of it up close. Most of it's off of the ship.
Gotta find a handle to stick back on this door.
This is... I can't actually aim at the damn thing. The fish hole. Oh. Yeah, there's an electronic lock right there, but of course, standing in the water, I would electrocute myself if I shot it. So I think I might actually be able to shoot it from up here without electrocuting myself. Oops, accidentally fried a corpse. Alright, I think it might be safe to go in the water now. I'm not sure what that was connected to, though. It's absolutely not safe to go in the water. Let's get out of here before we get shocked again. Okay, so... I didn't even open the armory. I thought that was just a sign on the wall, but yeah, here's the armory. More pistol ammo. A note about the armory. General Order Number 12. Smoking in the armory is strictly forbidden. All types of munitions are stored there, and some are particularly unstable. Moreover, in our environment, there is a high probability of corrosion, which makes the handling of ammunition an even more delicate issue. You are reminded that our facilities for dealing with serious injury are extremely limited. Anishenko. Anishenko, the tutorial man. So yeah, you can refill all of your weapons here. This generic ammo resource. I don't think there's any weapon here, though. You can just hear the electricity kicking off below us. So, it's rear deck. We gotta find the key to the upper deck. Now, these rooms are all dead ends.
I've got to find that code.
We already shot this guy, too.
This door ain't opening. Great, it's locked.
Alright, I'm not actually sure where this key goes. Like I said, I only played this game once years and years ago, so not a lot of it is going to be familiar to me. What about this door? I guess it might be this pretty well sealed door up here that we can use it on. Alright, well, before we do that, let's grab a medkit.
I better watch how much I'm using. I ain't got an unlimited supply.
Yeah, so you can use these a few times, but it will eventually run out. You don't want to come use it up every time you have a slight sliver of health missing.
It's unlocked.
There we go. Crew quarters. Hey, don't shoot. Well, that was on both of you. Galley. Damn. It is pretty funny that he reloads by just pulling back the slide. Like, that's all you need to do. All those animations they made, and they couldn't make a reload animation. Even these pots have a subtle sway to them. Alright, we made it to the front deck, where some nutjob is shooting at me with a machine gun. A note about barrels. Colonel, the standard regulations for storage of explosive chemicals are not being followed, neither on our supply ships nor on the drilling platform itself. I have even seen barrels lying about that are not tied down. I ask you to exercise your authority to remedy the situation. I know that these barrels can be extremely effective against our enemies, therefore, even if it means using them as weapons, I would prefer to decide on their positions with you. I will ensure that my men use them wisely. Sir, we put explosive barrels all over the ship in case we're ever invaded by anything. See, I'm trying to remember what the key is to stabilize against a railing. I think I got him. I'll have to check it next time we record because you can't open the options menu in-game.
It must be downstairs.
It must be. It has to be. It couldn't be anywhere else.
Satchel!
Well, this guy's certainly not doing great. All burned. So there's actually a thing where if you burn an enemy, you can't search them for whatever reason. It just cooks whatever they've got on them. You know, for a ship this size, having only one harpoon seems a little lacking for whaling. I'm pretty sure your average whaling ship has 3 or 4 of those on the deck. See that sweet combat roll? We are just trying to find our fellow Coast Guard. Where could they have ended up?
Get him!
Good thing you rolled out of cover. Really surprised me there. The med kit. I don't want to waste that, so we'll just leave it here for now. I'm curious why they decided on not having an inventory, though. If it's just easier for them to balance it that way, or they thought it would make it harder and more survival horror-y if you had to run back every time you need to heal. I'm gonna say though, there's a pretty good amount of setup time here before we actually see any strange creatures. Dormitory. Got a bunch of dead Russians, including just half of one. Page from Dr. Kamsky's diary. Got this twitchy guy. Oh, there's the other half of the Russian right there. His mouth is moving. That's a little strange. There's another medkit. Fully loaded with this ammo. There's definitely something going on with their eyes. They're pretty big. Pretty uku.
Lansing? Oh, man.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
At least I found the code.
He really did not seem that concerned about that, considering it was one of his teammates.
Help me! Holy!
How was that guy alive enough to be pursued? So there's our first exocell. It's kind of an aggressive zombie that can use tools to attack you. Sort of like Resident Evil 4. It's a good idea to take out the heads of these guys before anything happens to them. So this is one thing that's going to be a pain in the ass. There are no save points in this game that you can actively save whenever. You only save at certain story checkpoints. So, you know, if you decide to explore areas that you have access to, but are not the main path, then you can end up losing progress if you die. So, another thing worth noting about the exocells is if you don't headshot them, they will get back up endlessly. So you want to make sure to pop those heads as often as you can. Uh-oh. So yeah, you do have a resistance meter whenever you're like hanging off the edge like that. It's pretty much just your stamina. You can hang on for as long as you have some left. But unfortunately, you can't hang over the side and do pull-ups to increase the meter. Alright, we're getting hit with some pretty big waves now. I don't think we looked over here. Or is this where we came from? No, this is not where we came from, because there's an AK. Oop. Alright, so it's just mouse wheel to switch. So yeah, we do have an AK now, which will come in handy. Don't really need it against these basic exos, though. You also have to search their bodies before they dissolve, because apparently their ammunition dissolves with them. A note about fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are dangerous. See, the swaying of the ship actually made me miss that many times. I swear, guys, it's just the motion of the ocean. So one problem is I'm realizing I can't really end an episode away from a save point. General Order number 6. All soldiers are to be extremely cautious of exchanging gunfire in rooms containing fire extinguishers. These devices contain highly compressed gas, which can cause explosions. You will be held responsible for any damage you cause to the ship or your comrades. Anishenko. Page from Dr. Kamsky's diary. Notes on exocell infection. We have deliberately infected and observed over 300 subjects, including dogs, apes, orcas, and human beings. Those subjects have been placed under permanent biometric surveillance and dissected to accurately chart the growth of the exocell organism and help us learn how to control the process. Infection and change. The time it takes an infected individual to mutate depends on 2 factors: how long it takes the exocell to get a tendril into the victim's brain, and the infected body's natural resistance. At present, we have no way of knowing how long the complete process takes for a given individual. Its body mass, height, and age seem to be of little importance. Any individual infected by an exocell should thus be given the antidote as quickly as possible. If no antidote is available, the host's brain must be destroyed, and I mean destroyed, to prevent the subject from becoming inactive and potentially contaminating the host. Indeed, the exocell seems to be able to reanimate a brain that has been clinically dead for several days. So yes, destroying the heads, even on corpses, will prevent them from being reanimated by loose exocells. I somehow managed to both go through the door and search that guy at the same time. Hello? I saw somebody go in here. What the fuck is that? Oh. I mean, we could have worked something out, but no. We decided to start shooting. Nothing on him.
It looks like this will do the job.
Hand wheel for the fish hole door. Yeah, it's probably a good thing I didn't pick hard for coming back to this. So that means we go all the way back to the last save point. So I think we're going to end the episode here, and we will continue from where I grabbed the wheel next time. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to try to pace these around where the save points are, which is always a little bit of a pain, but such is the limitations. So, until next time, I've been Shadefire, this is Cold Fear, and I hope you'll join me for our continued exploration of this Russian whaler full of zombies. Until next time, take care, folks.